Alright, Happy people, Scsigs here, and I'm here to do an unboxing for you guys today of the Beatles Abbey Road Anniversary Edition, which is the 2019 remix of the album by Giles Martin and Sam O'Call, it looks like. The CD release, I didn't get the vinyl because I don't really care to have the vinyl release. And it features the remix version of the album on its own disc, 2 session CDs, as well as a Blu-ray featuring surround mix in Dolby Atmos and 5.1 surround plus high-res stereo. So yeah, it has the remix in a very high-resolution audio format or high-fidelity audio format that you can't get on the regular CDs that are only available on, like, I think Apple Music, if you have, like, the right kind of headphones and everything that support that kind of output. So, yeah, because I guess did a 5.1 surround mix and Dolby Atmos. So that's actually really cool. So right here on the front you get the regular Abbey Road album cover picture of the Beatles walking across the crosswalk at Abbey Road Studios, and yeah, the iconic album artwork. This is probably one of the most well-known album covers just in existence. It was funny because there was an episode of Drake and Josh where Drake got an original 1969, I think, copy of the album, or at the very least a 20th century copy, from an old dude who had it autographed by all 4 Beatles, and gave it to him for not dating his daughter, or his granddaughter, basically. And yeah, there was a whole episode around that, but yeah. But even back then, I knew, well, it's the Beatles. Even though back then I didn't really listen to the Beatles at the time, at least much. I knew of some of their stuff, but not a lot. It was really with the Beatles rock band and the re-releases of their albums in 2009 that I would really begin a journey into the Beatles music. So yeah. This is definitely my favorite of their late stage albums. Like from, I would say Rubber Soul on, maybe Sgt. Pepper on. It depends on how you look at it, but yeah. So, yeah, and I think that goes for a lot of people too. A lot of people do like some of the other albums from that time, from like the mid to late 60s, but Abbey Road's heralded as one of the best music albums ever for a reason. So, yeah. But yeah, and it's presented kind of like a vinyl, which is nice. On the side right here, you have Abbey Road, the Beatles Anniversary Edition. And on the other side here, basically what's in here is a giant book that has details on the album and everything. Also has the CDs and everything on the covers. And yeah. But on the back here, you have Beatles, Abbey Road. You got the woman who's obscured and everything. I don't know if that woman has ever been, found, or if anyone's, actually found her or anything. I know that there was at one point there was a wonder as to who she was, but, yeah. So then you have all the CDs and all of their track listings, with CD 1 being the 2019 mix of the main album, CD 2 being the sessions of a bunch of the takes and outtakes of, and CD 3 as well, that, basically have or alternate take versions of the songs. Some I think are reused from the Anthology project. Others are brand new for this release. As well as songs that they recorded at the time but didn't make the cut. But yeah. Then we have the Abbey Road Blu-ray audio, which has all of the tracks from the main album. Dolby Atmos, 96 kilohertz / 24-bit DTS HD, Master Audio 5.1, and 96 hertz 24-bit high-res stereo. So that's pretty good. And it has some like copyright information and everything, as well as information on the Blu-ray disc. So yeah, and I guess Universal helped author the Blu-ray disc because they're credited on this release as well. So interesting. But yeah, so we have this giant ass book that has a mix of a lot of stuff in it. Back says the same as this nice cardboard slipcover. I'm just gonna go into the CDs and Blu-ray. So we got the main CD right here, which has the main picture that was used for the album, as well as the track listings on the back, which it recreates the original vinyl. So, yeah. You got the CD right there. Which, yeah, I kind of wish that these were in better cases than these, but whatever. Next we have the Blu-ray, which, yeah, another sleeve that recreates the original album. So, yeah, and this is an actual Blu-ray disc. And it says Region 0, which, interesting. And it has a label that's in German, even though this is an English language release. I guess they just produced the discs in Germany. But yeah. So I need to check something because I know that there's a page that uses a picture of John and Yoko where they have their backs to the camera but they're naked. Okay, so it's that far in. I'm just trying to make sure I don't accidentally show it. Okay. So you just got all these nice high-resolution glossy pages. I've seen this picture before with all 4 Beatles in front of a white backdrop. But yeah. So then we have the table of contents. Another good in-studio pictures of them from 1969, I believe, from when they recorded this. Foreword by Paul McCartney. Introduction by Giles Martin. Pictures from the recording sessions again in color. The route to Abbey Road. So, yeah, we got that. Again, just trying to make sure this video stays up and doesn't get age-gated. But yeah, so basically just story of Abbey Road. I think this wasn't this when they were in Twickenham? Yeah, because if you don't know, their last what became their last album, Let It Be, was originally recorded as Get Back. And they were technically recorded the majority of those songs before recording Abbey Road. And if you've ever watched the Peter Jackson Get Back documentary, where they used footage and audio shot back in 1969, basically they came up with and even recorded some of the songs that would appear on Abbey Road during those sessions. Abbey Road was later done, or was done later on in the year, after they had shot the footage for what became the Let It Be documentary and album, and yeah. So that's actually pretty interesting and nice that they included a picture of them performing or rehearsing at Twickenham, because at the Twickenham studios, they originally were going to do a TV special of them recording the stuff, or the songs that would become the Get Back album that they had planned. Then they moved to the studio, and it became a documentary film, and then, yeah. Yeah, this is interesting. So that's a screenshot from the Let It Be thing. And we have another picture from the photo sessions of or photo shoot where they tried their best to recreate the Please Please Me album cover, but as they looked in 1969, 6 years after. So, yeah, that was kind of the thing that they wanted to try and do. They wanted to try and, like, go back to basics and be more like they were 6 years prior. So, with the first, 4 or 5 albums. So, yeah, track by track, just basically stories of songs and scans of notes and everything from the time. I'm assuming from the Abbey or from the Apple Records archives that were kept from the time. And yeah, I do recommend getting this if you are very much interested in another picture of all four, or pictures of all 4 of them. George Harrison had an interesting look back then. The dude just looked like a fucking hippie. Granted, a lot of people were back in the 60s, so I don't know. So, 1 second. I put in so the battery doesn't run out. And the recording doesn't either get cut off or go really weird. If it does. So yeah. Oh, interesting factoid about Her Majesty. Her Majesty was originally supposed to be part of the little medley coming between, I believe, Mean Mr. Mustard and Polythene Pam. But because of pacing reasons, they cut it out. And they didn't initially intend it to be on the album, but what happened was the audio engineers were told not to throw any of the finalized material out, so they included it as a bonus track, a secret bonus track on the end of the album. And when the Beatles heard that or found that out, they thought it was cool, and they kept it. So, yeah. So for the longest time as well, the earliest pressings of Abbey Road did not include Her Majesty in the track list because it was supposed to be a surprise. Later pressings would include it in the track listing. But yeah. Goodbye. The Ballad of John and Yoko, which I have tried to listen to that song. I cannot get into it. Old Brown Shoe, again, same thing. They're talking about demo songs. Abbey Road cover, which I guess this is just. So they have alternate pictures of the Beatles crossing the road. A lot of people have tried to have these really weird conspiracy theories about what the cover could possibly mean, just based on how the Beatles were dressed and how they were positioned. But yeah, you can just see though that they didn't plan on anything, and the finalized cover is just the best one, or the best picture that they had. I've seen other takes from that as well, where that is clearly the case. Arrival of Abbey Road. So yeah, and in the end, I have another picture of them in front of a thing. Beatles, Abbey Road out now, Apple Records, and everything, EMI. So yeah, I guess that's just a press thing they released at the time. So yeah, and there's film, I think was used for one of their music videos. Capitol relieves nervous tension 3 ways. Okay. On record, on 8-track, and on cassette. Interesting. Another picture of the Beatles. Ringo Starr just grew out that mustache and beard and has never gotten rid of it. Which is fine. I think he kind of does look better with it, at the very least in his old age. So yeah, then you have the track listings on each of the discs. All the credits. I'm assuming that that's Paul McCartney's handwriting, but I'm not sure. Yeah, and then we have the 2 Sessions CDs that use alternate pictures and everything. This one has a bus in the background. But yeah. There we go. So CD2. It makes sense to put the Sessions CDs in the back. Another alternate picture. So yeah. There's a number of explanations as to why certain things were when it came to how they got shot, or for the final version of the picture that they got. But yeah. And they have done this with Revolver, I believe. Maybe not Revolver, but definitely Sgt. Pepper, Let It Be, and the White Album. For those remixes, I intend to get those as well. But yeah, so it's just really nice to have this. Did not expect to get this for Christmas, but I did put it on my wish list. But yeah. So, yeah. I very much actually recommend this if you do not have it. If you want to get the vinyl version, if you want to get just the CD version like I have, this is a really good release of this remix. So, yeah. So if you have not gotten it, please do so. It's been out for about 4 years now, because this came out back in 2019. But yeah, they still do have a decent number of copies in print, so yeah, I would recommend it. Otherwise, you can get it digitally as well, all the songs and everything. But yeah, and I just gotta say the remix didn't necessarily blow me away, because it was clear that they pretty much used the existing stereo mix as the blueprint and went from there. And yeah, and the stereo mix for Abbey Road wasn't actually that bad. Realistically, I don't think a lot of the stereo mixes for most Beatles songs from back in the 60s were necessarily that bad with the Beatles. I'm just saying after that, because Please Please Me and With the Beatles suffer from the fact that, voices in one end, instruments in the other for the most part. Some instruments get put in the other channel, and then some of the voices get mixed in the other channel opposite of that, but it's like, it's basically voices in one ear, instruments in the other, and it sucks. I'm very much glad that they're doing this remix project, and that Peter Jackson has developed an AI technology that allows them to separate out all of the sounds in the mix so that they can properly give those earlier songs that were recorded on, I think it was 4-track tape and everything, and do not have any of the individual elements surviving, so they can properly remix them, because they probably didn't think to save them at the time. But yeah, unlike everything from Sgt. Pepper on. But yeah, I'm very much glad that they're doing these remixes, and they started with Sgt. Pepper in 2017, continued with the White Album, then they did this, then they did Let It Be, then they did Revolver. I'm very much looking forward, especially with the 2023 editions of the Blue and Red albums, those compilations, for what they show for their earliest material. I'm very much looking forward to when they eventually re-release their first, I think it's 6 albums, because I think Revolver was their 7th, right? So, yeah, very much looking forward to that, especially for Rubber Soul, because I think Rubber Soul could do very well with a remix, but yeah. But especially for their first 2 albums, though, Please Please Me and With the Beatles, I'm very much looking forward to hearing all those songs properly remixed into a good stereo mix. But yeah, so not really much else to say. So links, description, all my shit. Subscribe if you want, and I'll see you guys in the next one.